Hello everyone, today is 10th of December, now it's about 10 o'clock in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for the day in which I'll share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms, and there are quite a few very significant developments and news that I'd like to share with you for this moment. And I will start with this report from TASS news agency that remnants of the Kiev regime's garrison in Kurakhovo city is actually trying to withdraw from town in mass, and this is definitely not going to be easy task for Kiev regime's formations because all the main supply and support lines that connects Kurakhovo with the rest of the Kiev controlled territory is under direct Russian fire control, artillery control, and their best decision that this garrison can make now is to contact Russian side and basically organize safe surrender. Otherwise, they're gonna suffer significant losses in both cases if they will stay in Kurakhovo and try to fight, and even in case if they will try to withdraw, because there is no safe ways to do so. If information is correct, then I guess it's only a matter of 24 to 48 hours and the Russian armed forces will establish full control over this strategical town in southern flank of Pokrovsk sector or on northern flank of South Donetsk sector. And this is not all. We are receiving information that Russian armed forces establish full control over Dachinskaya settlement on the southern eastern side of Pokrovsk city, and also latest reports are that remnants of Kiev regime's formations are fleeing Shevchenko on the southern western side of Pokrovsk, and of course Pokrovsk city itself is, together with Kurakhovo, was playing crucial main basically role as a logistical hub for Kiev regime when it comes to southern and the central sectors of the Frontline. I guess it is only a matter of maybe even hours, and the clearing operation will be finished in Shevchenko and this settlement will become under full Russian control. Although several outlets already are reporting that Russian troops actually finished clearing operation and established full control over this city. I guess it's only a matter of several weeks now, and the Russian side will start their main offensive in direction of Pokrovsk and Mirnograd agglomeration. That's being said, let's go through some other news. Also, RIA Novosti is reporting, based on statements of Vladimir Saldo, governor of Kherson region, that Kiev regime is preparing Kherson city and all the other smaller towns and settlements on the right bank of the Dnieper River for defensive operations, because Kiev regime no longer has an opportunity to conduct even small-scale offensive operations and the crossings of the Dnieper River. Basically, this was clear for quite a while now. After disastrous operation that Kiev regime under orders of London conducted in the Krinky area, after that, of course, it was clear that in no circumstances Kiev regime will be able to conduct offensive operations in this direction. I remind you, dear friends, that during that offensive towards the left bank of the Dnieper River, when Kiev regime for a while established foothold in a Krinky settlement, even according to Ukrainian propaganda outlets, Kiev regime lost at least 700 military personnel. And if Kiev regime's propaganda is reporting about such casualties, in reality numbers are probably 3 to 5 times higher than that, right? According to some Russian sources, Kiev regime lost from 2 to 3 brigades during that offensive. Absolutely disastrous offensive of the Kiev regime. And now according to Saldo, governor of Kherson region, Kiev regime is preparing right bank for defensive operations, and maybe because Kiev regime is afraid that Russian armed forces gonna launch a major offensive in this sector, in Kherson sector. This is definitely a possibility. After all, even in Russian segment of internet, a number of sources for quite a while now are reporting about possibility that Russia will launch a major offensive in Kherson or maybe in Zaporozhye sector of the front line, or maybe both. So that's the information we have. Kiev regime is expecting, I guess, Russian offensive in Kherson direction, and they're trying to prepare their defense lines. Meanwhile, Interfax is reporting that the U.S. administration once again is increasing pressure on the Kiev regime to start their forcefully mobilized young generation from 18, 19-year-old teenagers up to 25-year-old young generation people. Until now, Zelensky was refusing to obey this order, this particular order of the Washington, and I guess at least for the time being, the regime will not mobilize teenagers and the youngsters because they know it's only a matter of several weeks. Trump will be in office in White House after that, and it is highly unlikely, I guess, that Trump and his administration will demand from Kiev regime to start mobilizing teenagers, right? So therefore, because Zelensky knows this step will be extremely unpopular in controlled territory and may even provoke uprising, probably despite all the attempts of Biden's administration to force Kiev to start mobilizing these youngsters, this is not going to happen. At least I hope so. At least I hope so, because this is youngsters, by the way, young people that have not seen anything in this life, right? And it will be obviously a crime against humanity if Kiev regime will start now sacrificing 18, 19, 20-year-old kids for geopolitical agenda of the West. Although Biden's administration is trying big time to force Kiev to do so. Vzglyad newspaper is reporting that EU is allocating another 4.2 billion euros for Kiev regime, another hundreds of millions that can be stolen from European taxpayers, right? Although formally, by the way, there is a nuance there. EU bureaucrats, G7 bureaucrats, this is combined project of the G7 and EU. Well, they are stating that they will compensate for this additional funding of the Kiev regime by stealing profits from Russian frozen assets. They are not, they are not ashamed of themselves, by the way. They are openly saying that they will use profits from Russian frozen assets to finance this 50 billion project that Brussels come up with to continue to prolong this proxy war against Russia. And then some businesses in Europe, some people, and even politicians are surprised that there is not enough investments in European economy, and there is exactly the opposite is happening. Outflow of the investments, and they are wondering why. That's why, because you are stealing investments from other countries. That's what is happening. But in any case, of course, no matter how much money will be allocated formally for Kiev regime, in reality to enrich Western military industrial complex and corrupt politicians, no matter how much weapons going to be sent to Kiev regime, of course, Western ruling class already lost this proxy war that they are waging against Russia, and they cannot turn the tide. It's just not possible. Not even theoretically, right? RIA Novosti is also reporting that legendary foreign minister and legendary prime minister of Hungary, Viktor Orban and Peter Szijjártó, went to US, and they had a meeting with President-elect Trump and his inner circle, including Elon Musk and the future advisor of Trump in national security, Waltz, right? Mike Waltz. And even though details of the conversation between the leaders of the two countries have not been provided, I guess one of the main topics at least was this Ukrainian crisis. And because Orban and the foreign minister Prime Minister of Hungary, Viktor Orban, and Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó were very principled when it comes to their approaches to this crisis. They were always for the escalation. I guess they will try to provide Trump with the objective information, knowledge that is necessary for Trump to really understand what is going on, and hopefully it will work. Hopefully this meeting between the sides was will be productive one, and once Trump will get to office, he will be better prepared to make a workable proposal how to de-escalate this conflict and to basically deal with this situation, because he have to, right? This proxy war is waged against Russia is waged by West, right? And their main driving force in the West is US. So one way or another, but of course Trump will have no option but to deal with this situation, right? Hopefully this meeting between the sides was productive, and we will find out about it in a few weeks time. Meanwhile, dear friends, before I continue, let me notice that these channels on YouTube, Rumble, are this project basically completely subscriber funded. And if you like my work, if you think I deserve to be in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support my work and this project with a small donation through PayPal, Boosty, or by subscribing to my Patreon page, where I have extra content on quite regular basis. And for example, today, straight after I will publish this update on YouTube and Rumble, I will start uploading a new video on Patreon, which will be not about news. Last Saturday, me and my family members went for a little walk in a city here in Moscow, and I was making some videos about preparations that city is undergoing to celebrate New Year, right? Moscow is always nice, but especially nice during this New Year's celebration period. And hopefully our community on Patreon and Boost will like that video. And later on today, towards the evening, if there will be active day news-wise, of course I will make second news update, which will be published on Patreon and Boosty. So dear friends, if you're looking for more news from Russia, more commentary and more content in general, you're more than welcome to join our communities on Patreon and Boosty. Unfortunately, our community on Patreon probably would not reach 200 as I was hoping, but new members welcomed anyways, right? And that will be great support, by the way, if you will become Patreon of this project. That's been said, let's continue with some more news. And we have this report from Vzglyad newspaper that according to statement of Prime Minister of Israel, Netanyahu, Golan Heights, occupied Golan Heights will forever stay in Israeli control as a part of Israel. And Golan Heights, of course, are part of Syria, internationally recognized as a part of Syria, although it is occupied for decades now by Israel. And it's not just Golan Heights, by the way. Israeli forces currently are conducting ground offensive operations in the borderline regions of Syria and establishing control over the more and more territories. And according to this report from TASS news agency, Israeli tanks and armored vehicles, Israeli forces are now about 20 kilometers away from Damascus itself, from capital of Syria. I don't think Israeli forces will enter Damascus, but I'm quite sure Israel will establish control over there as much territory on the borderline regions as possible. Right, and process is actually underway, and I don't think anybody can stop this process. RT is reporting that Hamas uploads terrorists that overrun basically Syria. I mean, what happened in Syria is, by the way, of course, a huge hit on resistance, right? And Hamas is uploading these developments in Syria. Some strange, maybe I don't understand something. Probably I don't understand not just something, but many things, right? I don't pretend to be, anything more than I am really am, so therefore, I guess my knowledge is not enough to understand what the hell is happening with Hamas, how they can upload biggest hit that resistance had since the beginning of that movement, right? But that's the report, by the way, that Hamas congratulated the Syrian people after so-called armed opposition terrorists, by the way, Israeli, US, UK, and Turkish-controlled terrorist forces in the country overthrew the government and ousted former President Bashar Assad over the weekend. Well, okay. I wonder what experts in Middle Eastern affairs will say about this. But strange. At least to me, it sounds strange because, yet again, this is biggest hit. What happened in Syria is clearly biggest hit that resistance had ever experienced, right? Because after all, Iran lost her direct land connection to Hezbollah, and Hezbollah was a main fighting force of resistance. And Iran was, of course, supporting resistance as much as it could. And now when Syria is quite effectively under control of Israel, US, UK, Turkey, directly or indirectly, of course, this connection between Iran and Hezbollah has lost land route, at least. And Hamas is celebrating that. I mean, okay. Okay. You tell me, dear friends, what you think about this stuff. But I was a bit surprised to see such news. I don't know. And what to congratulate Syrian people, by the way, that they're going to be enslaved by terrorists and they're going to experience hell on earth. If situation in Syria was bad before, it's going to get 100 times worse from now on. This is an inevitable process, right? Hardly anyone will argue with that. So there is nothing to congratulate Syrian people in Syria or outside of Syria. And for example, when it comes to Syrians that are outside of Syria, for example, in Europe, and we're hoping to receive refugee status, well, they will be denied now. Tens of thousands of Syrians, potentially hundreds of thousands of Syrians that were hoping to receive refugee status in Europe and then settle in Europe, they lost that chance because yesterday there was a parade, if I may say that way, of their statements from almost every EU member state, every European state, that they will no longer consider applications from Syrian citizens for asylum. Because, well, Syria being liberated, right? It's democracy now there. Inclusive terrorists that are focused on diversity and inclusivity has established control. These rebranded terrorists, LGBTQ terrorists, LGBTQ plus supporter terrorists and stuff, man. Europe and North America, I mean, West went quite a long length to do this rebranding of these terrorists, right? Terrorists that are affiliated with ISIS and Al-Qaeda, right? And they are calling them diverse now and all-inclusive, that kind of stuff. Okay, I mean, European bureaucracy sees opportunity to, on legal terms, block Syrians from applying for refugee status, and they have now means to deport all those tens of thousands or potentially hundreds of thousands of Syrians into Syria. And meanwhile, by doing so, making such statements, of course, European states are preparing legal means, legal ground to block entry to Syria, to Europe for an inevitable wave of refugees that will be directed towards Europe in fairly short time. Because of course, hundreds of thousands, millions of Syrians, by the way, will try to flee Syria now, and their main destination will be Europe, right? But the European capitals know this, and they are preparing legal means now to refuse all Syrians refugee status, because they are now citizens of democracy, right? And that's it, really. So what to congratulate Syrian people about? They lost country, they lost everything. It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. And unfortunately, many people still don't understand what had happened. Meanwhile, TASS news agency is reporting that head of Russia's foreign intelligence service, Narishkin, Sergei Narishkin, stated that Western ruling class will try to provoke big conflict with the epicenter in Eurasia. And when I see this news, by the way, I think straight away that this is Central Asia. He did not went into details, but my thought was that he's talking about Central Asia. If you remember, quite often, and even in yesterday's update, I spoke about my reading of the big picture about future next potential steps of the Western ruling class in this geopolitical struggle against China, against the rest of the world, basically global South and China in particular. And I said yesterday, I said many times before, that in my personal opinion, Western ruling class now will be focused to destabilize Central Asian republics. First of all, Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan, to send in these republics then these terrorists from Syria, tens of thousands of terrorists actually, and then to use these Central Asian republics as a stronghold or bridgehead to infiltrate China, northern western parts of China, where Turkic-speaking minorities are living, predominantly Muslim minorities. And this way, Western ruling class will most likely try to create big trouble for China in its northern eastern provinces. And I guess Narishkin, while saying that West will try to provoke a large conflict with the epicenter in Eurasia, that's what he meant. I guess that the next focus of West will be exactly that. Destabilization of Central Asia, and then destabilization of northern western provinces of China. That's what is happening, by the way. We will find out. I'm quite sure in 2025 we will see implementation of these plans that most likely Western ruling class has. Let's continue with some more news. And Georgia, by the way, is next. Of course, Georgia is still former Soviet Republic, by the way, in Southern Caucasus region, is on a crossroads, obviously, and Western controlled so-called opposition, Western financed and controlled so-called opposition, non-governmental organizations, and the so-called media is since the 26th of October, basically, is trying to destabilize country and overthrow government, conduct regime change. For now, they are unsuccessful, but actions of these radicals and extremists is becoming more and more aggressive, and I'm afraid in upcoming days we're gonna see next big escalation in Georgia, because I believe on 16th of December, Parliament of Georgia will vote for to elect new president. New president's name is, Avilashvili, and the current president, by the way, Alexei Navalny, is in the process of becoming president. And this way, Georgia will be, since the 26th of October, basically, is trying to destabilize country and overthrow government, conduct regime change. For now, they are unsuccessful, but actions of these radicals and extremists is becoming more and more aggressive, and I'm afraid in upcoming days we're gonna see next big escalation in Georgia, because I believe on 16th of December, Parliament of Georgia will vote for to elect new president. Western controlled president Salome Zurabishvili already stated that she will not leave office. She is not recognizing results of the parliamentary elections that took place on 26th of October. She is not recognizing that those elections, not recognizing parliament, and she is refusing to stand down, right? And her presidency will expire on 19th, I believe on 19th of December. And obviously, government of Georgia will have no choice but to remove her from office forcefully if necessary, and allow newly elected president Avelashvili to start, to enter office and start his duties, right? And exactly for that time, I guess we will see next phase of escalation in Georgia. For now, at least, the government is still managing to control the situation. But yet again, from all what I see, I mean, it seems to me that Western ruling class this time is invested big time, seriously, in this regime change operation, and I'm afraid they will go all the way, which means that they will order their assets. At some point, they will order their assets in the ruling party, in the government, in security services to take a side of this opposition. I guess some bloody provocations will be made, as it was done in Kiev. You remember 2014 when some snipers that were bring there by radicals opened fire towards police, towards protesters. More than 100 people were killed there, and that was used then as justification to overthrow Yanukovych. And I'm afraid something similar, bloody provocation, is already organized by CIA and will be orchestrated. And after that, probably all the assets that West has in Georgia will take a side of this so-called opposition, and that will be it. That will be end of current government. Regime change will take place, and I'm afraid that Georgia will enter probably darkest time of its history in last 30 years, at least, since the collapse of Soviet Union. That's the scenario that may play out there. Although, of course, maybe it is also a possibility that I'm missing something. Maybe I don't understand stuff. Also a possibility. Who knows? We will find out. Anyways. But in my personal opinion, Georgian government lost time to act strongly. They should operate different ways. They should neutralize these Western-controlled criminals long time ago, or at least when this destructive processes began, they should neutralize leadership of these riots. But anyways, RT is reporting that India to buy long-range radar system from Russia, according to media reports. So India and Russia are close to finalize a landmark $4 billion defense agreement for an advanced long-range early warning radar system designed to enhance the South Asian nations' missile detection and air defense capabilities. According to media reports, the deal is in the advanced stage. The radar is a part of a Voronezh series of manufactured by Almaz-Antey Corporation, one of their largest integrated manufacturers of their aerospace equipment, including anti-aircraft missile systems and radars. And Voronezh system, by the way, this Voronezh radar system is over-the-horizon radars, right? These systems are used to detect launches of ballistic missiles. And India definitely needs these kind of systems for sure, to make sure that they are controlling not just one, by the way, but several, to control western direction and to control northern direction. right? I mean, if you take a look at the map, then well, it will become obvious. Even eastern direction, because Bangladesh now no longer, I guess, can be seen as a strategical partner of India, or at least after riots in Bangladesh, regime change, I guess eastern side is not that safe now for India. But when it comes to western side, west is Pakistan, of course, and north is China. And unfortunately, India, which is a strategical partner for Russia, and I want to believe a forever friend. India, of course, has difficult relationships with both with Pakistan and with China. Although lately there was a significant progress, by the way, to resolve some borderline issues between India and China, and I'm happy about that. World cannot afford confrontation between India and China, by the way. This emerging multipolar world cannot afford that. So therefore, of course, we all are in support of greater relationships between New Delhi and Beijing. But Russia is definitely proves that it is a strategical partner of India, and will provide with whatever is necessary to make sure that India has all means to defend itself. And with these radars comes technology. Obviously, specialists will be trained, and one day India itself will be in a position to build maybe even greater over the horizon radars, right? And then India might share its knowledge with Russian partners. That's what strategical partners should do. And also, dear friends, I will end this update with this news that Russia hands over warship to India. India's new multi-role stealth guided missile frigate INS Tashil, built for the Indian Navy in Russia, was commissioned on Monday at an official ceremony in Kaliningrad. The ceremony was presided over by Indian Defense Minister Rajnath Singh and the chiefs of the Indian and Russian navies, Admiral Dinesh Kumar Tripathi and Admiral Alexander Moiseev. INS Tushi, which translates as the Protector Shield, is an upgraded Krivak 3-class frigate of the Project 113.6 designation. 6 such frigates are already in service in the Indian Navy, 3 of which are Talwar-class ships built at the Baltysky shipyard in St. Petersburg, while 3 were built at the Yantar shipyard in Kaliningrad. Tushi will be the 7th vessel of the Project 1135.6 in the Indian Navy, showcasing the high effectiveness of these ships and India's trust in the Russian defense industry, according to an official statement from United Shipbuilding Corporation. So yes, definitely, this is seventh vessel of this type, and I guess India is happy with these vessels. Otherwise, I don't think so many vessels would be ordered, right, to be built in Russia. And I want to show you this vessel, by the way, how it looks. That's it. That's a project of the vessel. That's how these missile carriers look. This is, by the way, frigate of that project. So yes, I guess India is happy with these vessels, and they are, ordering some more. And great, by the way, great. As I said many times before, whatever is good for India is good for Russia also. because we are for our friends, man. And I will end this update on that. Relatively short update, dear friends. So hopefully you will find this video informative, interesting, useful, and if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary just about anything. This is the only way we can at least try to influence algorithm. And if you can, please share information about my channel with your friends in real life or on internet. And if you like my work, if you think I deserve to be presented in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support. All the links are on this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a wonderful day and take care.